We have some fluffy feet, but I would say they would be a lot fluffier and better if he had all of his claws. So welcome back to Vet Day here at the sanctuary. We have 19-year-old Canada Lynx Ramsey here for the wellness exam. Many of you saw that we had Bobcat Brianna on the table earlier. And 19, he's old, but I always say, you know, in my opinion, they're never old till they're 19 and older. But I know that senior cats are cats anything over 10 years old. And so Ramsey's been doing good. We do know, sadly, because Ramsey was privately owned as a pet. Remember, on the East Coast, he was in a condo for most of his life, well, I should say for the beginning of his life, and was being aggressive to visitors, peeing on the big screen TV. He actually had a YouTube video, him called One Unhappy Lynx, where he was being antagonized and growling at the videographer. Luckily, he was surrendered to the sanctuary, but it took some time. The owner was very concerned that if he flew Ramsey to us, that he would be prosecuted for illegally owning a Canada Lynx. He wanted to state on the health certificate that Ramsey was a domestic cat, which we told him that is illegal to do and would be a federal offense. But sadly, we've done this so many years, we know that going and bringing your pet lynx, putting it on a cargo flight to us, that it wouldn't flag anything. Nobody would check. And we just wanted to get Ramsey to safe at sanctuary. And so he finally, after several attempts to get him here and several visits to the airport that he never showed up, that the owner finally sent him to the Wildcat sanctuary. And so he is four-paw declawed, which is attributed to his arthritis, but he's also 19. So at 19, he's going to have some arthritis. Today, we want to check his teeth as well. And they have dosed him a little light based on his age. So they're just being cautious and careful. They're going to intubate. They're watching for any reflex, but we just want to make sure he's doing good. And then Elise is going to use that opportunity to groom, because with not having any claws and having that lynx coat, his furs, he's just definitely shedding his fur. But he's a beautiful, beautiful boy. What did he weigh, Elise?
24.
He weighed 24, so he's usually about 30 pounds. So a lot of that can be muscle atrophy given his old age, his declaw. And so today is really just to see if how he's doing at 19, making sure he doesn't have any dental issues or jaw issues, because he does have some trouble chewing on occasion. And then just checking him over and running blood work to see how those kidneys and other things are. So the difference from a bobcat to a Canada Lynx is that Canada Lynx are much larger. They're distant cousins. Canada Lynx will have that ruff around their chin much more so, even though bobcats have a little. And then Canada Lynx have those big tufts on their ears, very long. They actually have even a shorter tail than a bobcat. And they've got those big snowshoe feet. And Ramsey's are a bad example because of his four-paw declaw, but you can also see how much fur and webbing are on there to act as snowshoes. Oh, his little toes are they're just skinny as can be. And then these guys don't have a spot pattern like a lot of the bobcats. They have more ticking. They turn really mossy, kind of a brown color in the summer to blend in with like the moss and under trees. And then in the winter, they'll get that white tipped coat, which you can see some of his winter coat still here. So we've had a Canada Lynx over the years. Our first Canada Lynx was named Kodiak. I remember him. He sadly was being kept in Florida and was kept on concrete den, concrete water bowl. So when we offered Kodiak into our facilities, he was allergic to everything. He was allergic to plastic, the plastic dog glues, pine trees, grass, and so we ended up having to do a lot of treatment on Kodiak so that he would keep his fur and his fur would grow back. We even did acupuncture on Kodiak. And since then, we've had Shalico was a Canada Lynx we had Shay. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Do you remember any others, Elise? I know there's a few more, but Canada Lynx are kind of one of my favorites because Bobcats have really on and off switches, and they think they're really big. Eurasian Lynx have big attitudes, and Canada Lynx tend to be the more elusive, and Canada Lynx actually sound like owls when they communicate. So we also had Jasper, who was a Canada Lynx, Eurasian Lynx cross, but looked just like a big Canada Lynx on steroids. And so luckily we're seeing them less and less in the private market, but we're seeing more and more Bobcats in the private market, so much so that right now there isn't a sanctuary at the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance that has space for Bobcats because we're getting so many calls on them. So you know, we really want people to not own these animals as pets. Dr. C is gonna check on his teeth and see how that is. So if you're just joining us, we have Ramsey, a Canada Lynx, on the table here for wellness exam, especially because we were concerned a little bit about his teeth and dental, things like that. So when we were live with Brianna this morning, we told you guys that she had just 4 canines and 1 molar left. And so during her sedation, Dr. Campbell did a little more investigating in her mouth and found that underneath those, and kind of underneath the gums, there was holes, tracks, so there was infection. So he did end up removing some of Brianna's remaining teeth. Those teeth were not of service to her for eating anyways. So Brianna will get minced boneless chicken and beef the rest of her life, but she's pretty much been on that since her first and second teeth removal. So Ramsey for us has been a pretty healthy cat other than the severe arthritis that he gets treatments for. And so today we're looking at the mouth. After he does the mouth, he'll go and look at all those joints again. We talked about doing radiographs, but we know at 19 and with his history, we know exactly where Ramsey's headed with arthritis, and we don't want to keep him down longer than we have to. So we're just going to continue pain management and increase it as Ramsey shows any symptoms. So both Ramsey and Brianna have been introduced to each other over the last couple weeks. Been doing pretty good and great. So we're going to end up moving them to small cat track where they have a bigger yard again and a more shared space. So they'll wake up in their rooms in kennels, and then once we know they're stable and nobody's going to pick on each other, then we will move them back to or introduce them back to each other. Right now they're just monitoring and checking. You can see the fur that's coming off. He definitely does have some matting here. He's got some green grass in his mats. And so Elise will get that out. So usually we can do wellness exams in about 35-40 minutes, but when we add dentals, that can add a lot more time. So as long as they're being stable under anesthesia and monitored by the staff and vet team, they will do whatever they can because we want him comfortable. The other thing is your vets might tell you that your older cats need dentals, and a lot of times people say, oh, they're old, I'm not going to do that. But there's so much bacteria in the teeth and also cancers that can arise in the mouth. And mouth cancer is very painful for any cat, and dental, even though they do good on dental, that bacteria can cause infections and can lead to other issues. So probably do some dental x-rays and things like that, and we'll learn more from Dr. C when he's done. Today we're going to do a little bit of short with Ramsey today. And I'll show you the little paw prints that they did of Athena. Her feet are so small. And of course, just as always, like Ramsey's sponsor parents will get an update on how he's doing. We'll let you guys all know. His little toes are just so skinny, Dr. C. I thought they would be so much thicker. So we also have to check for regrowth. Luckily, Ramsey hasn't had any, but we had another Canada Lynx kitty. How did we forget? That's who I forgot to mention. Kitty. She was one of our toughest cases. And Cleo. Yep, and Cleo. See, I knew there was more. My old brain doesn't, remember it. So, and they had regrowth from their declaw, which was very painful and was coming out of into their pad. We've also had bone stick out from the declaw and some of the Canada Lynx. I mean, in all cats, declawing is very hard on them, but when you put a cat that's supposed to have the biggest paws in comparison to their body size for a snowshoe hair, it's really, really painful. Dr. C, do you think he's going to need some more investigation in the mouth, some dental x-rays?
He's going to need one extraction here, this fourth upper cardiac tooth here. Dust is bleeding from just probing, but that tooth looks pretty bad.
It does, yeah. And it looks like it's
falling apart. It smells.
So he's got an infection in the back. Is that a molar?
Yeah,
it's a molar.
So.
So he will have an extraction. So we're glad that when we do wellness exams like this, it's kind of the catch-all. We chose to time it with their move, and we chose to make sure it's kind of their geriatric wellness. It's timed with the grooming of the season so that we could do this all at once for him. We wouldn't want to have to sedate him multiple times at 19 if there isn't a medical reason for intervention. Obviously, anesthesia is, can be safely done, but there are always risks. And so we always say old age isn't a disease, but the more stress you put on an older body or a compromised body, things can occur. So that's why when we're doing procedures like this, Elise is in here doing the grooming, helping, but the staff is outside getting the new areas ready for these two so that it's appropriate for them. The staff also worked on crate training so that these guys were walking into their crates and then sedated in their crate, so that was less stressful for them. And then also the pre-anesthetics that Dr. Campbell prescribed so that they're less stressful during the capture or the sedation and allow those drugs to work better and safer. So it looks like Ramsey will get a dental here. We aren't going to stay live for all of that, but again, I just want to thank you guys for so much stuff. For the Cats in Crisis campaign, whenever doing appeals and rescues, those might seem really exciting and great, but also we can't forget the daily and specialized care of each resident here at the sanctuary to ensure that they're still just as special as their first day of their rescue. So thank you all. I'm going to stand back because I know they're going to be shooting for dental radiographs. And also Judson's out doing some exciting things today. He is out doing a video of the toy drive, and for the winner who won the toy drive video. She didn't want to do a live post because of learning technology, but she's going to get a very special video that Judson's putting together of her toys with the cat of her choice. So thank you guys for making that toy drive so amazing for the cats, and Judson will be posting more videos and photos of cats enjoying those awesome toys you provided. There were some really cool new shapes and new things that were purchased, so we're really interested to see how the cats respond to that. So thanks everyone, and we will keep you posted on how Ramsey and Brianna do on their vet procedure today.